All right, today we're going to dive deep into one of the most defining struggles of our time, the battle for truth itself in our hyper-connected digital world. It's a super complex problem, right? But stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll have a clear roadmap for how we can navigate it.
You know, this whole war over truth thing can sound kind of abstract, a little distant, but it has very, very real front lines. And one of the most dramatic recent examples involves these three players right here: a powerful tech platform, a major government, and a global crisis that put them on a collision course. And wow, this one moment just perfectly captures the whole tension. So picture this: October 2023, a crisis is exploding in the Middle East, and the social media platform X gets flooded with all sorts of misleading stuff. The EU, armed with its brand new Digital Services Act, doesn't just ask nicely, it issues a formal warning directly to Elon Musk. And Musk's public reply? He challenges them. Please list the violations. That single exchange, that's the entire standoff in a nutshell. Who's responsible for the truth in our digital town square?
So, that whole standoff, it's really just a symptom of something way bigger, which brings us to our first section, the post-truth standoff. This is all about the breakdown of what experts call our epistemic comments. That shared foundation of facts that we all used to be able to rely on. Okay, so how do we even begin to fight back? How do we rebuild that common ground? Well, the response is actually pretty structured. It's all about building our defenses, and it rests on three main pillars. And here they are, the three main pillars of this whole counterattack. First up, you've got education, which is all about arming us as individuals with the right critical thinking skills. Second, there's journalism, which is focused on rebuilding the authority of trusted sources. And third, you have governance, which is about finally creating some real rules of the road for the tech platforms themselves.
All right, let's kick things off with that first pillar, education. Now, experts see this as the most fundamental solution. It's not a quick fix, not at all. It's a long-term project to create what they call a durable inoculation, basically making entire populations resilient to manipulation right from an early age. And you can actually see this stuff working in the real world. It's not just theory. Just look at this comparison from the 2023 Media Literacy Index. Finland, which has been weaving critical thinking into its schools for decades, scores a 74. That shows incredible resilience. Then you compare that to a country like Georgia, scoring just a 20, which is still highly vulnerable. This shows without a doubt that long-term investment in education pays off, big time.
Next up, pillar number 2, journalism. Look, we all know that trust in legacy media has taken a huge hit. So to fight this, newsrooms are trying to do more than just report the facts. They're adopting new strategies like showing their work, transparently explaining how they verify information to try and rebuild that crucial bond with all of us. Now, one of the coolest and most promising new tools in the toolbox is this thing called pre-bunking. Seriously, think of it like a vaccine for your brain. By showing people a weakened or pre-debunked version of a lie and then explaining the manipulative tricks behind it, you build up their cognitive antibodies. So when they see the real full-strength lie out in the wild, they're way less likely to fall for it. Pretty smart, right?
And that, of course, brings us to our third and final pillar, governance. For years, we basically relied on tech platforms to regulate themselves, with these voluntary codes of practice. Well, that era is over. Governments, especially in Europe, are now rolling out hard laws that force platforms to take responsibility for the huge, systemic risks their algorithms create.
And believe me, these new laws, they have serious teeth. Under the EU's Digital Services Act, if a platform doesn't comply, it can face a fine of up to 6% of its global annual turnover. For the biggest companies out there, we are talking about billions and billions of dollars. All of a sudden, the financial incentives have completely flipped toward accountability.
Okay, but here's where we got to go a little deeper. Because fixing all this, it isn't just about tweaking algorithms or teaching kids media literacy. It's also a philosophical crisis, which means we have to look at the very nature of truth and authority itself.
Decades ago, way before any of this, the philosopher Hannah Arendt gave this just absolutely chilling warning. She understood that facts about the world, what happened, who did what, they aren't just out there, solid as a rock. They're actually really fragile things that need to be protected by institutions we trust.
And this is what she figured out, and it is so important. The real goal of these huge disinformation campaigns, it's not to get you to believe one specific lie. No, it's to flood the zone with so many conflicting stories that you just throw your hands up and say, I guess nothing is true. Reality is unknowable. And at that point, the only thing that matters is raw power.
Now, fast forward to today, and you've got thinkers like Lexi Neum who are building on that idea and really reframing the whole problem for our time. Just look at this quote. She argues the crisis isn't really about the facts themselves. It's about who is telling us those facts.
So let's break that down. What she's saying is, the problem isn't that people are suddenly dumb and can't handle facts. No, it's that they've lost trust in the people and the institutions giving them the facts. Journalism, science, government. People aren't rejecting the data. They're rejecting the authority of the messenger. And rebuilding that trust, well, that's the real, difficult challenge.
Okay, so just when you think we're starting to get a handle on this whole mess, a massive new player enters the game, generative AI. And let me tell you, it is a true double-edged sword. It's both a terrifying new threat and a potential new tool for fighting back.
And this is what's so fascinating and, honestly, a little terrifying. AI is a complete toss-up. On the one hand, it's a weapon. It can create a full fake news ecosystem on demand for basically nothing. But on the other hand, it could be our shield. We could have AI-powered assistants that fact-check for us in real time. We have to worry about AI hallucinations that just make stuff up, but we could counter that with things like cryptographic watermarks to prove where content really came from. The race is on, and it's not clear which side is going to win.
Okay, so where does all this leave us? We've looked at the problem, the defenses, the future threats. Now let's put it all together and forge a real roadmap for repairing our shared sense of reality.
So here it is, our roadmap to building resilience. It has to start with rebuilding our institutions, demanding radical transparency and accountability. We need to recalibrate our philosophy, not just defending facts, but understanding why that trust broke down to begin with. We absolutely must enforce these new tech guardrails, like the DSA, and create systems for content authenticity. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we have to empower the public through a massive expansion of media and AI literacy for everyone.
When you boil it all down, every single one of these efforts, from the classroom to the courtroom to the server farm, is all about answering one final question. In an age of endless spectacle and outrage, the goal isn't to make the truth loud or flashy. It's to make it reliable, accessible, and once again, a boringly obvious foundation for our shared world.